Hello, welcome to London Euston Station. It's a sunny summer evening. In fact, it's August 2022 to be precise. It's the 26th of August 2022, and we're going to take the Friday charter, which was a service between London Euston and Manchester Piccadilly. It was run at the time by by Locomotive Services Limited, collaboration with Avanti West Coast. It was filling in a bit of a shortfall at the time, and was a service. We're going to take this, well, as far as just beyond Milton Keynes Central, because the first stop in reality was Birmingham International. Then in part 2 and 3 we'll take it through to Crewe, and then hopefully with part 4, when Manchester Commuter comes out, we'll finish the job. Just a bit missing between Crewe and Wilmslow, but we will eventually take it from Wilmslow through to Manchester Piccadilly. So I think everything's set up apart from, yeah, we need to, do we need it? I can never remember. Yeah, that's right, I think, yeah. There we go. We'll get the headlights on. Make sure we've got the instrument panels on. You never genuinely see that massively. Markers will have, I'll have the left marker on, I think. Never totally sure what markers we're supposed to have on, actually. So we should be able to lock the left doors. So the idea is, using free roam and formation designer, and also a lovely custom livery, I managed to replicate the correct formation for this service. So of course 25 miles an hour out of London Euston. Using the notching up, of course, so we need to do it gradually. We can't put all the power on, because otherwise we will blow the motors. Still love the sounds on this Class 87. So this is 87002 Royal Sovereign that was used on this service. We've got the correct formation. Now there's no DVT, of course, in the game, so I've used HST Power car. Thought it was kind of the nearest we've got, and I've looked at the videos, tried to replicate essentially the right formation. I suppose if you've been a little bit pedantic, you're going to say, well, hang on a minute, that's the 350 and Children in Need colours, and that was only done a couple of years ago, so this wasn't prevalent in August 2022, but you can't get everything exactly right. Bit of a climb up the hill, it has to be said. So the real service would stop at Birmingham International, Birmingham New Street, Wolverhampton, Stafford, Crewe, Wilmslow, and then Manchester Piccadilly. First go at playing with the formation designer. I must admit it's taken me most of the week to get it working just right. It was a struggle getting this particular Class 87 into the formation though, because I couldn't use custom formations on the game and formation designer, so I ended up dropping that, did the formation without it, and then basically just backed it into the train. Once it gets going, the speed builds up pretty quickly. We are limited to 110 miles an hour on this run, but I'm sure many of you will have heard of the Friday Charter. I'd love to be able to say that I went on it in real life, but it ran for a few weeks. Between August and September, and there was an expectation it was going to be extended. They got the contract to extend it, but it never actually materialised, unfortunately. So I think I was within days of thinking I'm going to book this and have a run on it, because I really fancied recreating what used to be a common occurrence in the 1980s, even throughout the 90s. So we're going through South Hampstead. And I've been very specific about the date as well, because they kind of flipped between the 90, the 87 and the 86 that Locomotive Services Limited had, or LSL as they were commonly called. But on the 26th of August it was the 87, and it was in this formation. So there was 9 Mark III carriages, and for some reason there was 2 buffet cars on that night. So we've had Southampton and Kilburn High Road, and then Queen's Park. Actually, Queen's Park's coming up now, isn't it? That's where the Bakerloo line joins us. And we are using the Forks timetable, but this works really well in free roam mode. And the great thing is, we'll see all the passing trains as you might have just experienced anyway. An example of that's coming up. We've got one Pendolino about to race past us. So after Queen's Park, that's Kensal Rise. Sorry, not Kensal Rise, Kensal Green, I should say. And Willesden Junction and Harlesden and Stowbridge Park we're not going to see, because the line kind of deviates away. There is a 710 on a DC line service. Getting a bit too vigorous on the accelerator. We're speeding a little bit, but we are up to 90 now. So we've more or less got the 110 in a few seconds, and then we really will be up to the top line speed that we could do in this train. So when we get to do part 2, which will be just beyond Milton Keynes Central through to Birmingham New Street, and then Birmingham New Street through to Crewe, we will at least have a proper DVT on the back, because there is a DVT, of course, in Train Sim Classic. But I couldn't resist just trying to do part 1 in Train Sim World 5 because the graphics so much more superior. And I feel as though this train was just built to run along this section of the West Coast Main Line. Thanks as ever for the creative people on the Creators Club website. I was going to say the Train Sim community, of course. Terrific thanks for the people on the Train Sim community website with the expanded West Coast Main Line and the timetable. But great that we have the correct train for the service off the Creators Club website. So we'll perhaps get a better view of it if we come round to this side. So we've got the Swallow included, we've got the right nameplate. I think I haven't double checked properly, but I've got a feeling the Inter City logo and lettering is a little bit on the small side, but other than that, really, really nice. And I could be wrong on that as well. I don't stand to be 100% sure. I've just got a funny feeling that we are going to be held at the signals as we get past Milton Keynes Central. Hope so anyway, otherwise we're going to be going through empty land and then the game will look very strange. And you would expect this time of the day, because it was the 17:27 departure, 1 Zulu 41, the Friday charter. Would expect it to be pretty busy around rush hour time. And this really does take me back to the video 125 recording from all those years ago with the Royal Scot. You can see previews of that on YouTube, but the full video is a great experience because it takes you back to the 1990s when that was filmed, or was it the 80s? Might have been the late 80s, not sure, but in full intercity colours. And okay, the passing traffic's obviously different. But I mean, I love driving this train. I think it probably has to be the best train that's been created so far for Trains in World 5. And of course I'm biased because I'm in my 50s. I can remember these trains operating in real life. So, you know, I feel full of excitement to be at the helm of one of these old first generation AC electric units. It'd be great when we get the 86 as well. Too far from Watford Junction, you'll see the DC lines now on our left branching away. With you get Carpenter's Park, and then Bushy. Of course, Bushy is the section where it branches away and goes around to Watford High Street and then through to Watford Junction. And I mean, I really enjoy doing the DC line trains as well on this route. It's a fantastic experience, the full all station service from Euston. Try desperately to keep to the speed limit. That is Bushy. Sometimes some of the LNWL services stop there. I don't know if there's the river's still down there. There's a big industrial estate nowadays. There was a scene from the 1970s when a Class 86 crashed down the embankment around this bend. Let me know in the comments. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's better to drive this with the Pendolino or the 350 or even the 710 or this Class 87? So we race through Watford Junction. So we're coming up towards Watford Tunnels, so the slow lines divert away at the right. So for a brief bit we've got completely separate fast and slow lines, completely separate tunnels. Sure, I've heard it somewhere said that the tunnels on the slow lines are reputed to be haunted. And I've said it before, probably a million times actually, and you might be fed up of hearing me say it if you've heard me say it, but I would love to be able to drive the sleeper train on Trains in World 5. You know, even if it was a representation of the Caledonian sleeper carriages that were the Mark III ones, that'd do for now. And somebody's already done the 87 in Caledonian sleeper livery, so we're not too far off with it. And on that note, and with Trainsim Classic, I know Armstrong Powerhouse, as we speak, as I'm recording this, we're not too far away from extension. Here's Kings Langley, M25 we just passed under. We're not too far away from Armstrong Powerhouse releasing a Class 92 expansion pack, so that's going to be superb. And we do have the Mark 5 carriages in Train Sim Classic, so that might encourage me to buy those. Those are available from Alan Thompson Simulation. Must have been always forget there's stations along this section of line. So after Kings Langley, it's Apsley, then Hemel Hempstead, Berkhamsted, Tring, Cheddington, Leighton Buzzard, Bletchley, Milton Keynes Central. So I think this is Apsley. Slightly irritating the way you get the odd stutteriness with the sound. That's the only slight critical factor, really. Couldn't see very much from the bridge there, could we? Quite sure this is Hemel Hempstead. Some sort of depot just before it that used to be used. I can't remember the exact purposes for that. Don't actually know why we got an AWS sound there. There might be the odd AWS glitches, or unless it was for a reduced speed on a diverging line, possibly. Berkhamsted is next. I can normally identify that because of the fact that it's on a bend. You've kind of got the canal and the river, I think, going on there as well. Quite an interesting station. Apologies, by the way, if you think I'm shouting a little bit, but I've kind of got my headset on, and I don't know whether I've just got the volume set a bit high on the headset, but it sounds quite loud. And of course it is quite a loud train as well. Not been very good on the neutral sections, I have to say, so far. Sometimes when I drive it, I really do notice them. So we've got 100 through the bend at Berkhamsted, and then we've got 110 again after that. Lovely station this is. That is the HST that we've got at the back. Best I could do, really. I know there was a plan originally from Dovetail Games to put in the Friday charter when they did the upgrade before Christmas, but I'm guessing it must have had too much of an impact on the frame rates, and Dovetail Games were probably worried about the effect it would have for console users. But it is a fabulous facility that's available, the free roam. I mean, I think you can put some custom liveries on formations, but for some reason not the 87 ones, and I needed to do a little bit of jibbery pokery to get it to work. It's just one of those glorious summer evenings that we all dream of, really. And it's kind of like trying to lift the mood a little bit. You know, we get such grey, horrible January days. I mean, as I've recorded it today, we've just had the storm affecting Scotland and Northern Ireland in particular, but it's been windy in other places as well. Storm Eowyn, I think I pronounced that right. And I think I've got the latest upgrade. This is Tring, isn't it? So some of the LNWR services terminate at Tring. So we're not too far away, actually. Chennington, Leighton Buzzard, Bletchley, and then Milton Keynes Central. The station's, of course, spaced out a little bit. This is Tring Cutting, and I know if you read the stories, there were men that died building Tring Cutting. Of course, they all done, you know, without the use of excavators. No diggers in those days, so it must have been an absolute huge effort. And thankfully the line is still very much a vital cog in the wheels. A British life, really, the West Coast Main Line, and it remains the premier routes, I would say anyway, which covers such a large area from London, Euston, through the northwest, the Midlands, and into Scotland. I should be able to tell you where the Great Train Robbery was. I think it was in this neck of the woods, but I always get mixed up about the exact location. I don't think we're too far away as it goes. I think this is Chennington. I mean, there's been an awful lot of criticism about this route since it's come out, and I know it is very demanding on computers, whether it be the PC or the console users, and also there was a great criticism about the state it was in when it was released. But okay, I've got 1 or 2 mods included, but with the full timetable now, what's not to like about it? It's absolutely brilliant. There's plenty of videos as well of this particular run on the 26th of August 2022, so you'll see that the formation more or less right. I'm not sure that the actual buffet car that I've used is exactly perfect, but it's close enough. And there's plenty of videos as well on YouTube about this Friday charter service as well, and views from some of the other weeks that it ran on. I think the problem why it wasn't massively successful was the price. As I recall, it was something like £75 a ticket, but it kind of didn't matter where you were going to, whether it was end to end or you were coming off at one of the earlier stations. And I think with a bit more sensible pricing, I think it could have been tremendously popular. It's a fantastic idea. And the great thing is, it gives people like myself, and well, anybody really that's operating this game, the excuse of running this. I mean, when we've got the 86 as well, there's plenty of opportunities for doing rail tours. Because things like the Cumbrian, what's it called, the Cumbrian Mountain Express as well, which went up to Carlisle and beyond. Oh, I'm liking that. That's the first time I've seen that. An 87 on a Freightliner working. I'd forgotten that was a thing on this timetable. And I've been kind of hoping, and again, it's kind of way beyond my time, well, capability really, but you know, in terms of the effort and time needed to do it, I would love to see a timetable, a full timetable from the 1980s on this route, and then conversely it'd be good to see a modern timetable on West Coast Main Line over Shap, just to give you a bit of variety. I mean, I don't know whether it would be possible to kind of have a slightly muddied version of West Coast Main Line over Shap so that you could run the Pendolinos at 125. That might be asking a bit too much. But love driving the Pendolinos, love driving this old train as well. That's another 87 now on a freight. Marvellous. Loving that. And I've not said it before in the video so far, but if you do enjoy these videos, I'm trying to do a little bit of a mix of live on the Sundays, which pretty much 5 o'clock every Sunday with a live stream, but also trying to put some other recorded videos up as well. It does allow me at least to give the train of thought a little bit to what I'm saying as we're going along. But if you are liking the videos and you're liking the channel, then please like and subscribe. And again, tremendously grateful for everybody that's done it so far. But if you want to do that, that would be superb. If you haven't done it already, hit the notification button as well, because that's a great indication. It'll tell you when new content is up and running. Plenty of ideas, it's just having the time to do it more than anything. Racing through Bletchley. Just got a glimpse of the 350 there and the noise of the UFO style motors. So we should pretty much be able to race through Milton Keynes Central, because the first stop on this service is Birmingham International. But then at some point we're going to get adverse signals before we get through the other side. I think that was actually just that one there was the AWS was for the crossover onto the 75 mile an hour if you're going onto the slow lines. Again, if one day we get the class, we get the DVT, the proper DVT for the train, then I'll redo it with the DVT at the back rather than the HST Power car. But I thought, well, we'll kind of get away with it. Oh, we still haven't got the signal yet, so we're racing through Milton Keynes Central, all steam ahead, as another YouTuber tends to say. So it's telling us we should stop in less than 2 miles, so I'm guessing we're going to get adverse signals. I mean, if we don't, I'm going to have to think about getting the speed limit down when we get to about a mile. Yeah, we have got those indicationist signals, so all is good. I've just got visions of running out of the map. You kind of see that the scenery is getting a bit more vaguer now. We've lost the catenary and all sorts. I'm not even sure we've got the follow-up signal at the end of it, but we'll suggest that we've got a red signal at the end of all this. So it's ended slightly weirdly without the catenary. Perhaps it would have been better signalling just shy of the just beyond Milton Keynes Central. But apart from that, I hope you've enjoyed the video. That was the Friday charter, and I'd say the plan will be to do part 2 and part 3 and Train Sim Classic, so we'll take it on, and it'll be with a proper DVT when we do that, through to Birmingham New Street, and then in part 3 through to Crewe, and then part 4 when Alan Thompson's Manchester Commuter route comes out, we'll be able to go from Wilmslow through to Manchester Piccadilly. So hope you've enjoyed it, and as I say, if you haven't done so before, then please like and subscribe. I'd be tremendously grateful if you could. But until next time, it's goodbye.